They call Greg.
Are you Tony?
No.
Your personnel staff obviously has these quarterbacks ranked right now preliminarily. Do you have your own unofficial ranking of the college guys right
No,
now?
we've done it collaborative. We've worked through it together. We kind of have an idea, but there's no final right now. I think we have an idea heading into it. Who are the guys that we really want to see more and find out more about? But I think it's way early to make a decision about exactly where that position is.
How do you reconcile the 13 starts for Mitch Trubisky? How hard is it to get an eval with only 13 starts?
Well, it is a small sample size, but at the same time, he still played, and he shows. I don't think that's what's important. If a guy demonstrates the characteristics that you're looking for, I think it's important to keep digging and find out more. But I don't get concerned about that part of it, as long as the guy can do what we need him to do.
Given the known issues transitioning from college to pro at certain positions, quarterback, O-line, whatever, are you more inclined to be patient with a guy the first year and maybe look at a second-year development than you were a decade ago?
Well, I think you have to be. I've had young quarterbacks before that's come in and played well. I've had young quarterbacks that didn't play as well. But again, I still, in my mind, it's really about the team that surrounds the quarterback. I think, for him to have success at the end of the day, in this, like I said, it's a quarterback-driven league, but you have to be able to support him in so many different ways to give him a chance to have success. And I think that's what's important more so than anything.
Following that is, how do you think that affected RG3 and Cody Kessler last year?
Well,
surrounding them?
I mean, again, that was last year, and I'm not going to really get into that part of it. We're going to move on. You guys can ask me that question during the year this year.
How heavily does Deshaun Watson's college playoff performance weigh in your evaluation?
I think all that's important, because obviously he had a great college career, won a national championship, competed at a high level, very talented player.
So Hugh, you were saying obviously the position quarterback is so different in college than it is to the NFL. So do you care what offense a guy runs in college? Does that matter?
I care because you like to see some of the same skill set that you're going to use, but at the same time, I think you have to kind of throw that out the window because there's so many of the teams that are playing spread offenses, and you have to develop a way to evaluate that position with those guys doing something that's totally different than what some of the NFL teams
How did you
do.
evaluate Robert overall last year, factoring the injury and everything else?
Well, I think I spoke to that earlier. Again, he's a player that needs to continue to work and improve. I think he's doing that each and every day, and we'll continue to work with him and get him to where he needs to be.
Hugh, Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett both kind of jokingly asked the Cowboys to trade up with the Browns to number 1 overall and draft them.
Right.
Can you just tell us how do you feel about that? Do you hold that against them, or what's your take on that?
I don't. I think the guys I think they're both really good guys, and I think at the time it was more having a little fun about it. If it was something I thought was really serious, then I would be concerned. But I don't think either one of those guys would be concerned about coming to Cleveland and playing. And I think, again, it was just all in the fun of it.
The one guy that no one seems to ask anybody about is Deshaun Kaiser. He's the biggest guy of the top guys.
I heard that, 6'4",
Yeah.
233 pounds. That's a big guy.
And he moves.
Yeah.
You have any general comments?
Well, again,
I've heard you talk about Watson. And
Right, but I think it's the same, Tony, like with all the guys. Until I see more of them and spend more time with them, can I really say? I've seen a lot of the college tape, but I want to be around them and feel them and talk to them and see what they know and what they don't know. And I think that's what's important as we continue to move forward.
I don't think I talked about this. Greg Williams, why did you want him to be a defensive player?
Because he's good. He's really good. And I think he has fire. Obviously, he's done this at a high level for a long time. I think he's one of the best coordinators in all of pro football. So I think what was important is that we find ways to get better, as a football team, not just as the team, but also as a coaching staff. And so those are decisions that you have to make sometime, and those are ones we made.
Well, you meet with all the top quarterbacks here in Indy for the 15 minutes. I'm talking about Mitch, Deshaun, Patrick Mahomes. Will you use your interviews on those guys?
Oh, absolutely. No, there will be some guys that we'll definitely sit down and talk to and see if we can find out more about them.
Do you see Terrell Pryor as a number 1 type of receiver?
I'm sorry?
Do you see Terrell Pryor as a number 1 type of receiver
I don't
potentially?
I don't worry about the numbers. I just see him as a receiver who can play. The guy caught for over 1,000 yards last year, so he knows how to play.
Where do you think he can go, I guess, then, like in his career? If this is his first year.
I think he's trending up. I've said that. I think his best football is ahead of him. He's very talented, very big, very athletic, knows how to play. And I think hopefully we get this guy back and playing well for us.
Hugh,
Can you talk about the pressure that quarterbacks have to face when they come into the NFL in the face of the franchise? With a guy like Trubisky, do you have to weigh in the fact that he's a Cleveland guy and that's added pressure, and is that something you bring up with him?
Oh yeah, I think all those things are important, because you have to understand some guys play better when they're home, some guys don't. We would have to know all those things, and we'll do the digging on all these guys that way, to find out, can they really matriculate to the National Football League and still play at a high level and understand the demands of playing a position, especially for the Cleveland Browns.
You mentioned that Deshaun Watson's winning record and winning a championship is a plus for him. Along those lines, is it concerning that a guy like Kaiser goes 4-8?
Oh, well, we'll definitely dig into that and understand why. But I try not to, I try to just look at the player and what he's able to do and where he is. But those things are also things that you got to know and understand about the player. Because he's very talented, and you'd like to know why that happened that way. But we'll cross all the T's and dot all the I's so that we know everything about these guys.
Every single mock draft that I see, every expert that goes on TV seems to say that it's a foregone conclusion that you guys are taking Myles Garrett with the #1 overall pick. It seems to be the general consensus. Is that going to happen?
Wow. I think it's a little too early, Mary Kay, to say that. I mean, obviously, he's a tremendous player. I mean, there's a lot of good players in this draft. I think it's just so early for us to determine exactly where we are. But all those things will be discussed and thrown around as we continue to move forward.
Last year you wanted to put the Josh Gordon questions behind you, but now they're going to be in front of you if he's reinstated at some point. Are you open to reviewing his case and
Well,
welcome him back?
you just said it. He's not reinstated yet, so I think it'd be premature to really get in any discussion about that. I'm sure we'll deal with that in the future when the time comes.
Do you see Cody Kessler as a candidate to start, and how would you evaluate?
Absolutely. He's one of the guys who are, on our roster right now. That's one of our quarterbacks who's working extremely hard. And again, until we make a decision of who this final roster is at that position, I think every guy who's at that position has a chance to be a starter.
How do you think his rookie, how would you evaluate his rookie year?
I think he did some good things. He did. Obviously he played more, than what we anticipated he would. I thought he had some really good games. He got knocked around a little bit. He learned what the National Football League is. I think he will prepare a little bit different, but I like Cody. He's one of our players, and we'll continue to work with him.
Jamie Collins was.
I'm sorry?
You made it pretty clear during the season last year. Keeping Jamie Collins was a priority. You were able to do that. You now risk losing Terrell Pryor potentially if you can't get something done before March 7th. Is that an anxious time for you as a coach to potentially have to think about maybe losing a 1,000-yard receiver who hasn't really scratched the surface himself?
Oh, absolutely, because we want all our guys back, But again, as we say, it's free agency, so they get to make a choice and decision too. Hopefully he'll make the right one and stay here with us.
Will the buck stop at your desk? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can he get one in too, or else I'll let
Yeah,
him have this
go
one?
ahead.
Okay. Will the buck stop at the buck stop at your desk in terms of selecting the quarterback or trading for the quarterback this year? Is the buck going to stop at your desk on the quarterback decision this year?
Mary Kay, it's a collaborative effort, but I think our staff is truly wanting me to help them make the best decision for this organization. And I said it before, that's what I came here for. But we're doing this together. Hopefully they'll use my expertise, along these lines so that we can make the best decision for our organization.
After the draft last year, you said you guys didn't take a running back because you were so comfortable with Crow and Duke. Do you feel the same way now about those guys?
Oh, I feel even better. I think Crow's a very talented player, and so is Duke. So I feel good about those guys. But I don't think anything's, just set. I think however we can improve our team and make it better, I think that's what we're going to do.
And can you explain just the decision to hire David Lee? We haven't had a chance to talk to you about him yet. David Lee and what he brings to your staff.
Well, he's extremely talented coach. He's going to coach our quarterback. He's coached some really good ones in the National Football League. He allows me the ability to still kind of move around, do some things I need to do. But he will be responsible for helping me mold those guys as we move forward.
The quarterback he coached last year may be a free agent. Is this like the
Didn't you say
college
that was the
guy
last
who?
question?
Is this like the college guy who hires the basketball coach?
No, I know people will put those connections together, but it's not really about that. I went out and hired who I thought was the best quarterback coach for us, you know, for our organization, and that's why he's here.
Is he bringing the Wildcat?
I'm sorry?
Is David Lee bringing the Wildcat?
He knows extremely well. I know that.
All
right, we got to wrap.
Duke Tobin said yesterday that he would take calls even from a division team. Would you call him about AJ?
I think I can't speak to him about that. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.